Hello, I'm Rebecca Bradley. This is the Virtual Crime Book Club. The date is Monday, the 16th of September 2024, and we are discussing, it's known as The Flight or The Last Flight by Julie Clark. Spoilers will be involved in the discussion, so if you're watching this as a video on catch up, be aware if you plan on reading it or you're only halfway through, we are going to spoil everything for you, so you may want to read the book first. So, has everybody read the book?
Yes. Yeah.
Brilliant. So, the usual question first, did you enjoy it?
I did.
You did. Do you want to tell us why you enjoyed it, Lynn?
I think I got more into it. At first, I wasn't sure about Ava's storyline, but then I got more into that. I just like the two parallel stories, and the kind of machinations behind them both. And there are lots of like women characters who were supportive of each other. And also, it might be a bit early to talk about twists. Usually, I'm good at getting twists, but I didn't get two of the twists towards the end of this book. But I will just say the testimonials at the front of my book, I always read them because usually they just say, "Oh, really good book, good characters, surprise ending." But one of them actually did give away a little bit because it said it was a bittersweet ending. So you knew that the outcome probably wasn't going to be really good for both characters.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mm.
I do read them as well. The fact that you didn't guess the twist, did that bring more enjoyment?
Yes, yeah, because usually I'm good. Well, I think I'm reasonably getting twists. I mean, one was just a minor twist, but yeah, the other one, I don't know if you're ready for us to mention them, but the other one, yeah, I didn't guess at all, which was the drug dealer being the big honcho.
Yeah, so I think it's nice to have that feeling of being surprised by
Mm,
a turn the book makes or something the character does.
yeah.
Um, so who else enjoyed the book? Craig, you enjoyed it. Why did you enjoy it?
The same thing really. I love the split stories, and I love the fact that they met and then you followed in present time. I can't think of the character's name. I finished it ages ago. In present time, one of the characters, and then
Eva
in
and
the
Claire.
past, leading up to the point of the meet. I just loved the book. I really just couldn't put it down. It was really for me. I really liked both the characters and their stories leading up to the final point, which I won't say at the moment. But it was really and like Lynn, I was like, wow, completely taken aback at the end.
Yeah.
I think Craig has just said exactly what I was going to say, actually, and I really like the fact that you had the two, the present tense, the past tense, and it was almost like it was almost like two trains heading towards each other, and you're waiting for the collision point, and yeah, I really enjoyed that aspect of the way it was written.
Yeah, brilliant. Dual timelines, when they go in directions like that, I think you can see something heading, can't you? Um, what about somebody that didn't get on with it or they were a bit meh? Why? What was it about the book that didn't have you singing its praises? Go on then, Clark.
Um, I thought, I mean, first of all, I think it's a very worthy topic, this kind of thing about, um, you know, women in those situations, so I wouldn't be, I'd be very positive about that. And also I thought the first 100 pages, in fact, ironically, up until the flight, I thought the first 100 pages actually, it was quite good, and I quite enjoyed it. But I think after that, much less happened, and there was much more kind of introspection and backstory and stuff like that. So up until the flight, the first 100 pages or so, I was very happy with it. But then it kind of petered out for me, quite honest. I spent most of the book wondering why we were getting Eva's backstory and not finding out why we weren't hearing more about Eva. And it was only at the end, and I didn't, I didn't guess what was going to happen. I also thought that, I just found the writing style not very interesting and exciting because it was I thought it was quite reflective, and it was I always, in fact, it reminded me of a book we read a few months ago, which was the book about the two sisters, one of whom was on trial for allegedly killing. Yeah, and I felt the same about that because it was almost as though the author couldn't write any more than a couple of paragraphs without giving us some explanation for the emotional state of the character. And I'm afraid that just got on my nerves and I think it just slowed the whole thing down. And I also thought it was kind of weird. Eva was a drug dealer, basically. And yet, in a sense, she had to be a sympathetic character. So she made drugs that were helpful to people, And again, I find it quite difficult to overcome that issue that, really she's a drug dealer, but it's not bad, it's a performance enhancing drug kind of thing, which is helpful to people. So again, I just find that quite difficult to deal with as well. But yeah, very, very worthy. A bit, quite slow after the first 100 pages, I would say. It was okay.
So you thought there was too much character introspection and you prefer more plotty books?
I think so, yes. And that was how I felt about the other one as well. It's like no human emotion is left unexplored. Yeah.
Does anybody else have thoughts on why they didn't enjoy or didn't quite think it was brilliant?
I like it, but I think I agree with Clark, because I like the book because it was written with the two voices and had the two stories, and I actually like character development and everything. But I also think it was a bit slow at one point. Nothing much happened with Claire when she was just hanging around at Eva's place and going to the coffee shop. So I actually I had high expectations. I expected more from the book. That's why then I was a bit disappointed with Claire's story, I guess. I expected more things to happen with Claire because she was at Eva's place, and Eva had a very shady past and everything. So I expected more. I also felt it was a bit slow from a certain point. I enjoyed it. I read it. It was fine. It was not like amazing, but it was okay.
Yeah. How did everybody feel about the decision to swap identities in an attempt to get lost? Was that a realistic proposal? Did they have any other choice? Would you swap identities in a similar position?
God, I think Claire, she was desperate, wasn't she? Because she'd come up with this elaborate plan to go to wherever that place was that she was going to do the presentation, and then the rug got pulled from under at the very last moment, and she was absolutely desperate to get away. And this was like a gift that was presented to her, and therefore she snatched at it. Realistic, maybe not, but for the point of the narrative, it kind of made sense.
Yeah. As far as the actual physical swapping, how do you imagine you would feel handing over your handbag, your passport, your bank details, and your mobile phone? I mean, who isn't attached to their phone? I mean, everything is in there. How squeamish would it make you to do that?
You'd have to be desperate.
You would, wouldn't you?
But both of them were desperate because Claire was super desperate because her husband had found out about her plan of leaving him and everything. So she was desperate. So I think they were both desperate. And when at the end they explain how that this was not a coincidence, it was something that Eva kind of planned because she found out about Claire and she planned this. So I think if you are desperate enough, you give everything away, because in any case they wanted to just live their old lives, and yeah. I think at the end it was, I could believe it. It was okay.
I thought it was pretty unbelievable, but I was willing to ignore it until the very end, when it was explained that it was even more unbelievable.
We have a new member. I don't recognise the name. Divya, we can't see you on video if you are there. I don't know whether you want to log out and log back in again. Let me just check the...
Yeah, let me just log out and log in again. It's not working. Give me a minute.
Okay, lovely. Let me just put the chat box up in case anybody decides to say something. Okay. So when they swapped tickets and they got on the planes, and then Claire finds out that the plane she was supposed to be on has crashed, did she have any other option than to carry on as she was and take up this new life?
I thought it gave her the best option going, actually. When in the early part of the book, when the plane went down, and it all of a sudden it opens up many options for you, doesn't it? You know, if you're that desperate and you're that desperate to escape and hide from some people so powerful, that you think, what an opportunity I've just been given. Sorry. What an opportunity I've just been given. So, you know, I thought it was a really good opportunity. That's how I read it, until obviously you started going into it, and then there was that did she, didn't she sort of scenario.
You don't really know whose life you're stepping into, though, when you do something like that. So was she taking a risk?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the chance of, I mean, it's unbelievable, but Eva was herself a drug dealer, but it's one of the risks, isn't it? That is somebody dodgy that you're replacing.
So if you were in that position, the same with the handbag, would you feel guilty or would you feel lucky that the plane had gone down, bearing in mind what she was running from? Because she turned up to the airport already determined to try and escape. So would you expect her to feel guilty or lucky in that position that 200 plus people have died?
Really lucky, because they both wanted to swap identities. So Claire did not make Eva get into the plane. And of course, if people are willing to swap identities, it's because there is something very shady going on their lives. And so probably a mix of both, but probably a bit lucky.
Going back to what Clark said earlier about the world we're living in now, and a more acknowledging stance of the difficulties women, or the majority of women actually, walk through life feeling. Did it represent that well, or was it, even though Clark didn't think it was very plotty, was it more plotty than looking at that issue? Was the issue of women in the world represented well?
It's a certain type of women, I suppose, the ones who are in full view of the world, like Claire. And the other side was Eva, was the unknown ones.
Yes.
So,
I can see you now, Divya. Welcome to the group.
Thank you.
Hello.
We've been chatting for 10 minutes or so, and I don't want to put you on the spot. Being a new member, everybody is lovely. Do you want to say whether you enjoyed the book or not? There are different varying opinions on here.
Sure. I did, but again, I'm not sure what everyone else said, so I hope I'm not the only one who felt this way, but I thought it was a little bit underwhelming.
That's been said, you're fine.
Yeah, and I don't know, I think I kept thinking that it was going to pick up, but that was it. And it just went on that way. So yeah. But overall, still interesting enough that I got through it. So no issues there.
Brilliant. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Right, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you all for having me. It's
We're
great.
glad you're here. So we've discussed the airport situation and handing your handbag over and your whole life. The whether the women had any choice in doing what they were doing, but that they were in really difficult situations. So what did everybody think about Claire going public when she did? Did you think she should have done, or could she have done it any differently?
Well, like she said, she was going to be running away all the time from her husband if she wasn't going to do something about it. So yes, she had to go public. I mean, she was given a lot of advice from different people who, in the end, realized what she wanted to do. So I suppose they must be right. They all think the same.
There were
It was
some strong.
probably her only option at that point, but it only worked because she had proof, because she
Yes.
had the recordings. If it was only her word against his, I don't think she could have gone public. Even if she would gone
Without.
public, people not believe her.
Mm.
It only worked because she had proof,
Yeah.
basically. At that point, it was probably her best option because she would always
It
be.
was her best option.
Yeah.
But I felt Danielle was a good character. I'd have liked to hear more about Danielle because she helped her such a lot towards the end.
Hmm. There were a lot of strong characters. Sorry, Muriel, were you going to say something?
No, just saying that Danielle she described her in a very negative way at the beginning. She didn't realize that she was trying to help her because she was only the PA and she could only do so much. So she kept saying, Danielle.
There were some strong characters in the book. Who did you enjoy reading and exploring their opinion? Dawn enjoyed Danielle. Was there anybody else?
I like Bruce. I wondered whether Bruce was going to turn on Rory at any point because he seemed to be really switched on, and I quite liked the dynamic between the two of them and reading the online chat that they were having. But yeah, he was a character. My attention sort of dived in every time he was on the page.
Yeah.
Danielle's
Sorry,
Danielle's mother. I don't remember the name.
Was it Liz? No.
The neighbor.
The neighbor, yeah.
Neighbor.
I think she was such a great character because she didn't give up on her and gave her a different outlook on life, that people could be different from what she had experienced, and someone she could trust in. And I think she was a good character.
At first, I was a bit suspicious of her because she seemed to arrive at the right time for Eva. I don't know. I don't know what I thought she was going to do, but she was very helpful, but she was also quite clingy, really.
I also thought that she would be like the drug dealer or something. I don't know why.
Yeah.
When she showed up at the beginning, I was like, she's a drug dealer. But no, she wasn't.
I liked the barista who helped Claire because she'd had problems in the past herself, and I think she could tell, obviously, that Claire was in a bit of a state. So, although she was, quite a minor character, quite like that character.
I think, yeah, she's the one I like personally.
Did how the author wrote Eva make her a sympathetic character, even though she had this other side to her? Did you feel able to attach to her?
I did. I liked Eva. I was not happy that she died instead of Claire. I didn't care about Claire. I wanted Eva to carry on.
So, talking of Eva's death, how did you feel after her final chapter?
I was quite sad for her.
Yes.
I thought, all that leading up to that point, and she'd been dealt. I feel she'd been dealt a poor hand. The rich boy sort of got kicked out of school because he didn't take the rap. She had no support, no help, no one to go in, and she just got picked up and manipulated because of her skill set. So I was hoping, like probably some people were, meeting the neighbour and looking at the positives in life, that she didn't get on the plane. But hey,
yes, I was
Yeah.
hoping that as well.
Yeah, because it did lead to that at the end of one of the chapters where she was on the floor picking up all the things, and she was thinking, yes, I can do this, it's easy to do. And then you pick up on that again, and it's no, she actually got caught and had to stay with the rest.
I mean, there was that red herring of the pink jumper, wasn't there?
Yeah, and the news.
So, did everybody read through hoping that Eva was going to survive to the end?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I was hoping that she would survive, but I didn't hope that she wouldn't survive. I just had an open mind. It was like 50-50 whether she'd died or whether she'd not.
So
I think it wasn't quite hoping, but then I think I almost just took it as a given that she was alive. So I just kept waiting in the next chapter. Okay, so what's Eva doing now? Okay, wait, so what's Eva doing now? And next, and before I knew it, I was at the end and I still wasn't sure what Eva was doing. And then it was a bit of a more of like a unpleasant but surprise for me.
Yeah. So the fact that the author had written in these chapters from her point of view, is that what led everybody to believe that because she'd got a storyline that she was going to make it to the end?
I think so, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Were you satisfied with the ending? How it all wrapped up?
Well, I was because I didn't root for Claire. I wasn't too fussed about what happened to her. I mean, it's good that she managed to get the husband in trouble, but because Eva died, I wasn't very happy about it.
How did everybody feel about Claire being the survivor?
I was all right with her. I sort of rooted for her a bit. Once again, different end of the spectrum, but she'd had a tough life as well. In that home, basically, virtually a prisoner in her life, and so I was quite pleased that she survived. But it was always, leading up to that point, her life had to change because she couldn't. She's not a natural survivor, say like Eva was. Who would you feel you could drop Eva into any circumstance and she'd get through it? But Claire, from a background, didn't seem like that. So it was good that she turned it around in the end, I think.
So were the two women well contrasted? Were they different enough to follow?
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, they were very different, so definitely.
And were you surprised with how it was all wrapped up? Not just the Eva, but the whole thing.
I had a feeling that that's the way it was going for Claire. I felt that the narrator was more trying to get Claire in a good situation in the end from the start, whereas I didn't know what Ava was going to be doing.
And was that a satisfying conclusion for Claire?
Yeah, it was. I mean, as Craig was saying, she was somebody who really needed to be in a different life. She was going to struggle a lot if she carried on. I mean, her husband was beating her up and things. I mean, something had to be done. And she had a very sad story, her having lost all her family. So yes, it was nice that it ended in an almost very nice way.
And how does Claire feel now that she's got this ending and her life is okay, when this other woman that she was talking to in the bathroom is no longer
But she doesn't know that. She doesn't know that Eva is dead. She keeps thinking because she's seen a pink jumper on the news and that her seat on its flight was empty because Eva changed last minute. She doesn't know that Eva actually died. And she said somewhere, I think, that she was happy that Eva was somewhere. She wasn't going to talk about her, but she knew she was somewhere having a different life.
Yeah, it's true. She's hoping that she'll be alive.
Right. I read the book a little while ago and forgot how Claire was thinking at the end. Hi, Mel.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
No, it's nice to see you.
Very good.
We have practically done we've done the whole book now. Did you enjoy it?
I loved it. I really loved it. Yeah. So I don't know what anyone else thought, but I thought it was very well executed.
We have a mixed bag. We have readers who have loved it and others who thought it got a little bit slow in the middle. What did you enjoy about it?
Oh gosh, I thought the tension was really well done. I loved both the characters. I didn't like Eva at first, but she kind of grew on me as as we got to know more of her story. Yeah, that was sorry, it's very early
No, I'm
here.
putting you on the spot. I'm putting you on the spot, sorry. I did think of something else then when you were talking. I can't think what it was.
Just a short caveat from me. I liked it. I wouldn't say I loved it, but I'm definitely in the like camp.
So with me, yeah.
So we're talking about how the ending, if the ending was satisfying for us, for Claire, and I think she had really a rough time. Whenever she thought she was safe, something else happened. And all the time she kept up her hopes, and she was never very pretentious. She didn't need all that rich life she had, and she was very satisfied with her with a smaller life. So I think she will be happy afterwards. She has gone through all this, and she can make a new start.
So it's about having a life. It's having life itself rather than the kind of life she was living.
Yeah.
You mentioned about how it ended, and one thing I noticed was, I think it was in the car ride when she was on the way to the channel to give the interview, and she got a text from Danielle, and she thought that the driver was actually from you know, that whole
husbands,
thing.
yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So I think that was another one of those almost I was like, oh no, okay, I'm ready for some excitement here. Is she gonna jump out? Like, what's going on? And then it turned out that it was nothing. So it was a bit of a a little bit of an anticlimax for that loop of what was that about?
Yeah. There's two things there. You've got it's well represented from a woman's point of view that has been in that situation, that she's fearful of everybody and can they be the person that can get her. But as a few of you have already said, it's a lot of introspection rather than action. So who prefers a more character-led book and who prefers a more plot-driven book?
Plot.
All right, let's do characters first. Characters. I'm kind of both.
Me too, because I like character development, but I like plot.
It depends.
So I don't like action that much, but I like plot twists. And I like lots of mystery. Always like being
thinking. Little grey cells.
I think, as it was said, there was too much introspection. It's not that there's a character or plot led that matters. There was too much introspection in the book.
So who prefers a more forward, acting forward story? Because do we think there wasn't always a forward momentum? We kind of got stuck a little bit. Not full agreement there. We have a mixed bag of readers, and that's what's great about choosing the books and then discussing them afterwards, because we all like different things.
Can I just ask what people thought about Dex turning out to be fish? Because I wasn't happy about this at all, because I didn't mind Dex as a character. Quite happy with the relationship between him and Eva, but then when it turned out that he was the big head cheese, I just didn't think that he'd come across as powerful enough. I just wonder what everyone else thought.
I just accepted it. I said I didn't expect it. It was a surprise, but I just thought, oh, right. So
yeah, I can agree with that. I thought it was an odd twist. It didn't fit so much. It was surprising, yes, but I thought it didn't fit so much.
Do you think there could have been a few more tells in his person while he was being Dexter? Would it have married up a bit better?
You were just talking about characterization, and I didn't feel that we ever got any hints or anything through his characterization that he was the head of his outfit.
Yeah, I can remember that actually. I'm thinking, oh right, okay. But Lynn, you've gone into this with a really open mind, haven't you? You've kind of just...
Yeah, well, I think I was at the opposite side to Clark, because I didn't enjoy it to begin with. But then I kind of got more into it. So I was a bit unsure about Ava, especially being a drug dealer. And usually I get bored if there's quite a bit of introspection, but I just went along with this. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I've asked all the questions I've got. So does anybody have anything else they want to say about the book, the characters? Go, Clark.
I've got a question which I was wondering about while we were talking, and that is because you were talking about the contrast between the characters. They're both exploited and manipulated by men in different ways, and but Claire has a very privileged lifestyle, whereas but on the other hand, Eva has, maybe we like Eva better because she has a much clearer kind of redemption arc, you know, and you know, was that what the author was trying to do with the book? Was contrast these two characters? Eva doesn't survive. You know, she's the drug dealer, the one who, you know, I think has come from maybe not a more difficult background, but and yet, you know, is that the point of the book, that Claire, the one with the very privileged lifestyle, manages to survive and make use of her kind of media contacts to, you know, to get this freedom, whereas poor old Eva gets killed off. She's a drug dealer, you know, and you know, actually, perhaps she's the one with the really, you know, it's kind of difficult to be critical of Claire, but you know, Eva's the one that has the kind of, for me, the one who has the much more kind of redemption arc. You know, is that what the author's trying to do? Compare and contrast this, privileged lifestyle surviving versus, much closer to the bottom of society not surviving. Is that what the author's doing? I don't know.
Well, I think you are overthinking it. I think it was just a nice plot twist that Eva died, basically.
I felt the author
she was a drug
more...
dealer, and lots of people start their life in very difficult situations, very difficult lives, and they don't turn like they do. They don't start making drugs and selling drugs. So at the end, it was also okay. It's a kind of a punishment, but I think it was more like it's a plot twist because at least I expected that she was alive. There were lots of hints that she will be alive, and you were like, okay, if she's supposed to be dead, she'll be alive, and then she wasn't. So I think it was more like a plot twist.
I think it was a bit sad that she died when she was at the most positive, because she's always been, a bit negative or sad or whatever throughout the book. But on her last journey on the plane, she was thinking really positive thoughts. So it was a bit sad that, that's when she died, when she was in a better frame of mind. But I think the book's also about the support of women, isn't there? Because there's a lot of support, the two characters from other women characters.
Mm. Would it have made any difference which character had got to the end and which character hadn't? Would it have made any difference to the story as long as the initial outline of one going into the other's life and one not making it to the end was in place? Would it have made a difference which woman it had been?
I think it would have. I mean, I would have been happy for Eva to be alive, but if Claire had died, I don't think it would have been a very balanced book because she had all the support. She was the one that could. I don't know. I felt she was supposed to get to the end, not die. So it would have been strange if she died.
So Clark, sorry, go on.
I think it makes the story more tragic that Eva dies. I don't see it as Clark does. I think she, you remember her more for being dead, because in the end you thought she might have a chance, and that is crashed, and so you feel a bit more sorry for her, I think, and that endears her somehow. You feel you keep on thinking about her fate, and so I think it had to be Claire as a survivor, yes. But I think it was good. It was a good ending like this.
I think we needed Claire to I think we needed Claire to survive too, because she's on this whole journey of she's going to expose all the fraudulent dealings that her husband's been involved in, or that's got to continue on. So I think we needed her to be the one. If one of them's got to die, it sort of had to be Claire from that point of view, because it was less likely that Eva would be able to expose all the drug dealing and survive that.
Yes, Claire was the spokeswoman of women, exploited women, I think. I don't think Ava was really, because of not having the right background, if you want, being a drug dealer in the first place. I think she, in a way, she was doomed to die.
I think that was a great question, Clark. It certainly got everybody talking. So thank you. I'll come to you for my questions next month. Does anybody else have anything they want to say about the last flight? It is named two different things.
Actually, I wanted to ask about that. Why is it named two different things? Do you think that either of the names is more or less impactful than the other?
I think it may be an area thing. I didn't check, but I think the flight was a UK title and the last flight was a US title. So I think it's just different publishing houses have just made that slight change because US covers and UK covers. I know lots of countries publish, but I'm just doing those two, for example. They have different book covers as well. They never come out with the same cover in both countries. Well, in any country. So I think it's probably, I didn't check, but I think it's one's a UK version and one's a US version. We're lucky that it's actually only a difference in word and it's still called The Last Flight, because we had a book before and it had a completely different title, which was very weird. But
I find the last flight kind of gives away the end. I prefer just the flight.
Well, it is somebody's last flight, yes.
I did read in the acknowledgements that she'd sold the rights to Hollywood, but that was a few years ago, and it doesn't seem that a film has been made yet. And I think it would be difficult to keep the secret of Ava, not surviving in a film, because the focus would be even more so on Claire, and there wouldn't be the kind of current storyline for Ava. But we'll see if there is ever a film made.
I mean, they are particularly slow at doing things. They're slower than publishing, aren't they? But yeah, people will wonder why she's only got a historic timeline.
Yeah.
Anybody else? No? Brilliant. Sorry, did somebody... Verena, was that you?
Yeah, no, I said I haven't got a question.
Okay, lovely. You all light up in green when you're speaking, so I do know who's spoken. The next meeting is Monday the 14th of October. I will end this meeting and let you know what we're reading next. Hang on. Oh, what have I done?
You're gone.
You switch yourself off.